Hello and welcome back to my channel. After a long time, I am doing this video, and few days back, actually, I have decided to upload a video because I have been receiving many requests for doing videos on Windows Server because I think many of you are still working on Windows Server and server support and server management. Still, you are working on hybrid environment and Windows Server support, as well as you are working little bit on Azure cloud. So I thought that this is the best time to start a video on Windows Server, as well as how to connect to cloud, how to connect the network to the cloud. So in this video, I'll be talking about the Microsoft latest Windows Server operating system, that is Windows Server 2022. This is a cloud ready operating system. Uh, if you're asking me what is cloud ready operating system, cloud ready operating system means that some of the features of the Windows Server 2022 are actually evolving around Microsoft Azure. That is the reason it's a cloud ready operating system. First of all, I'll be talking about Windows Server 2022 features and advantages. Uh, there are many features in Windows Server 2022, and then I will start on uh, the different versions that Windows Server 2022 is having. For this, I'll be showing you different tasks that server admins are performing on day-to-day basis. So for that purpose, I will definitely recommend that you to build a lab, home lab. Uh, Most preferably, a virtualization will be better. You can use VMware or you can use Hyper-V. In my case, I'll be using Hyper-V. I'll be using VHD file to showcase all the lab scenario. So let's start by um, sharing the information that I am having from many years of experience on Windows Server. So let's start. What are the features of Windows Server 2022? Before I start talking about what are the features and advantages of Windows Server 2022, uh, actually, I want to talk about what I am experiencing nowadays is that many of the server admins are actually not aware of what are roles and what are the features. What is the difference between roles and features? So I want to clear this point that Windows Server roles and features are actually different. Windows Server roles are actually the setup programs or the functionality. For example, DNS, DSCP, Active Directory Certificate Services, Active Directory Domain Services, ADDS. These are the roles of Windows Server. And features are the additional functionality of that role or multiple role. For example, bits or BitLocker encryption. These are the additional functionality to the roles or the multiple roles. So this is the difference between roles and features, because what I am experiencing and what I am seeing nowadays is that many people are actually working on server support, but they do not have the basic knowledge of what are server roles and features. So now I think you'll be able to answer the question very easily in the interview. There are many features in Windows Server 2022, because Windows Server 2022 actually is built on top of the on the functionality or the technology of Windows Server 2016. There are many services or many features in Windows Server 2022. For example, you know already that ADC, Executive Directory Certificate Services, Executive Directory Domain Services, ADDS, then DNS, DSCP, WSUS, Windows Server Backup Services. But apart from these services, I want to talk about little bit of some of the features which are uncommon. For example, built-in security, application server, containers, credential guard, servers authentication, nested virtualization, nano server, network load balancing, NLB, software defined networking, security auditing, telemetry. So these are the features or roles. Those are also available in Windows Server 2022. Apart from this, there are some removed features, or there are some features which are actually removed from Windows Server 2022 onwards. For example, file replication service, Windows PowerShell 2.0, then RSA, RES, encryption for IIS. These are the features which are actually removed from Windows Server 2022. Now I have spoken about Windows Server 2022 roles and features. This is very important topic. The next point that you have to decide on how you are going to install the Windows Server 2022, and what are the additions we have in Windows Server 2022. So Windows Server is having four editions or four versions. Windows Server 2022 Standard Edition, Data Center Edition, Windows Server 2022 Data Center Azure Edition, then Essential Edition. Data Center Edition is actually is having full functionality of Windows Server 2022, and it is having unlimited virtual instances, and this is used for private cloud, this edition data center, and data center Azure edition is used for Azure IaaS VM as well as Azure Stack cluster. And if you're talking about standard edition is used for specifically for physical environment, and standard edition also having full functionality of Windows Server 2022, but it's having only two virtual instances. It can support only two virtual instances. And essential is for small business, and we are not going to talk about essential here. We are basically concentrating on standard and data center edition. One more thing that I want to mention here is that both standard edition and data center edition supports maximum 24 terabytes of RAM and unlimited number of cores, processor cores. So these two are very important point for interview. And we have to decide according to the network infrastructure of the client or the environment. According to that, we have to decide which version which edition of Windows Server 2022 we are going to install. But Microsoft recommend that better to do the clean installation rather than upgradation. So if you are already having Windows Server 2012 R2, then you can directly upgrade to Windows Server 2012. Otherwise, if you are having Windows Server 2016, then you can also directly upgrade to the Windows Server 2022. But if you are having older version than Windows Server 2012 R2, then you have to upgrade first to Windows Server 2012, then you can upgrade to Windows Server 2022. But again, what I am saying is Microsoft recommends a clean installation rather than upgradation. And there are few things that you have to remember, that there are the two options we have. One is the graphical user interface GUI mode. Another one is server core. Server core is having more security, and because we have to install, we have to manage the server through command line, and remote administration tools that also we have to use for server core. And GUI is having complete functionality, desktop experience, that is desktop experience. And server core is having more security. If you are getting a question in the interview like why server core is having more security, then you can tell that server core is actually very difficult to hack, because it's having only command line interface. There is no graphical user interface. And the deadly combination will be server core and RODC. RODC is read-only domain controller. So these two combinations are actually deadly combination for from security perspective. So these are the basic fundamental knowledge you should have for Windows Server 2022. I hope this video is useful, and this video will help you in your career as well as in your day-to-day job. In the next video, I'll be talking about virtualization, because virtualization is a very important topic, and you should know about virtualization, and many questions can be asked on the virtualization. Thank you, and see you in the next video.